Word on the street is that President Trump's attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion is bearing more fruit. Let's get to it. All right, gang, as most of you know, I am born and bred in Michigan, and I've been spending some time in Michigan over the past several weeks over the summer. And it was brought to my attention that Michigan State University, an organization I used to work for many moons ago, is rolling back its diversity, equity, and inclusion language, taking it away from being present on its website, its strategic plan, etc. All right? Also, directly across Lake Michigan, University of Wisconsin is also rolling back its diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts by, number one, getting rid of its diversity, equity, and inclusion division and absorbing many of its diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts into freestanding divisions, making sure it's incorporated in them. And then yesterday, Monday, the 14th of July, Mayor Keith Wilson issued an email to his distro list. He highlighted the fact that the Trump administration has recently issued a $450 million rescission, which is the pulling back of funds for federal neighborhood access and equity grant program, which the Albina Vision Trust was a part of. Now, Albina Vision Trust, you should look into what the organization was doing, but it was establishing a new neighborhood in Northeast Portland that was through kind of an African-American lens, and it was touted globally, but, you know, and especially nationally for being the first of its kind to really focus on bringing, you know, Black folks back to areas where we have been gentrified from. So it's a major loss that grant has gone away. So there are consequences that are happening, right? Folks are trying to get in front of this. Folks are trying to preemptively shield themselves from being at the, you know, under a microscope of President Trump because they don't know what the outcomes will be. Here's what I want to say to you. This word on the street is not just for updates, it's also to share with you some hope. In the articles about University of Wisconsin and Michigan State University, they highlight how they are going to integrate the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion into their other departments that aren't just named DEI, right? Into human resources, procurement, student services, etc. That is exciting. That is going to give diversity, equity, and inclusion lasting power. It's going to make sure that folks aren't going to be able to attack them later on. We are working with dozens of companies right now. I think we're probably one of the few firms in the region that are helping folks, you know, not shaming them for trying to be responsive to the realities of what's happening under this administration, but saying, how can we actually walk the talk and get the outcomes that diversity, equity, and inclusion was built upon? So the purpose of this video, the purpose of this word on the street is to say there is still hope. Right? Let's focus on outcomes. Let's make specific requests for things, programs, plans, initiatives, procedural changes that are going to help enhance the experiences, enhance the livability of those who have historically been disenfranchised or historically marginalized. Now is an opportunity for us to think creatively. Don't take this as a loss. Take this as an opportunity for us to integrate into land grant departments and institutions principles that always should have been there to help those who have been historically disenfranchised. All right? So, word on the street is that Trump is still out for DEI and the world is adjusting. The call to action for you is to get creative. And if you want some support in getting creative on embedding DEI principles, outcomes, and fundamentals into things departments that have existed or policies that have existed over time, just let us know. Jump in the chat if you got questions and don't lose hope.